Good evening, friends. April here with Clear Path for Veterans New England. I am so excited to be bringing you a very special live this evening. We are going to be talking to some of our greatest heroes, our Vietnam veterans that come to Clear Path on a regular basis. Not only have they served our country, they have some amazing stories to tell. And tonight we're going to be talking about the wall that heals. That's actually it's a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington that is coming to Devens. And we're going to share a little bit about that with you and how you can become involved in not only visiting, but maybe offering a helping hand. So we're pretty excited about that. So good evening, my friends. How are you?
We're doing great, April.
Great. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you for having us here tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So, my friends, I just want to let you know we're streaming to Facebook and YouTube, and we love questions. So please feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat, or just drop a hello and tell us where you're tuning in from. Because we are live, there's always that slim chance of technical difficulties. Please stick with us. If we kind of have a hiccup in the internet, I promise you we will be back to continue our amazing conversation. So I'm going to first start off with many of you already know a familiar face, Donna Bolger, who is founder of Clear Path for Veterans New England. And I'm going to have her start it off and give a special introduction to our Vietnam vets here. Hey, Donna.
Thank you, April. I am so happy to have the opportunity to, first of all, we're very excited about hosting the Vietnam Memorial Wall. It's just such an amazing tribute. And so what better way to talk about why that is so important than to invite some of my very good friends from Canteen so that we can talk about it. And so to my right here, I have Al, and Al was drafted into Vietnam, so he'll tell you a little bit about his story. And then I have Billy, and Billy joined the military when he was a senior in high school, and he'll tell you a little bit about his journey. And then my shy friend on the end is Bob. And Bob comes to Canteen. They all come to Canteen every week, but Bob also was drafted and served in Vietnam. So these great gentlemen here have some amazing memories from that time. And I think they can better articulate than anybody why it's so important to pay tribute when the wall is here.
Awesome. So let's get started. Al, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your service, and just share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I was drafted in March of '68. I went to Fort Dix for basic training, and Fort Leadenwood for AIT. And then my whole class at AIT went to Vietnam. We landed in Vietnam at 2:00 in the morning. And all hell was breaking loose everywhere. And the first thing I remembered was I got to out of the air conditioning plane and stepped on the stairs to go down, and it felt like fire was coming in my mouth because it was so blazing hot and humid.
Wow.
And I get down to the bottom of the stairs, and rockets started coming in. So they made us run across the tarmac, while the ones that were on the ground, the other ones had to stay on the plane because it was taken off again. So that was my first day. And then we went to the assignment area in Long Ben. And from there, they put me in an outfit. I was in the engineers, and they put me into an area. I was there for 30 days. I was still at the recruitment in the area where they were reassigning people, and I was building a swimming pool, of all things. I don't know if it ever got built because I was only there 30 days, and they sent me to my battalion, and that was interesting because they told me that I had to go to Quin Yon. I get to Quin Yon, and he says, "Oh no, you have to go to another location." And then from there, they said, "Oh no, you're not." That was E Company, and they said, "Oh no, you don't belong here." you have to go down to Cameron Bay. But I'm saying to myself, great, Cameron Bay is the best place in Vietnam to serve. And so I did. And I get down there in battalion headquarters, and they says, "Oh, you're going to be going out when the mail truck comes in. You're going to be going out into the field to B Company." And so I went out to the field, and all it was a bunch of tents. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to be here for the next year." Oh God! And so I did, and I spent about 9 months there, 8 or 9 months there, and then we had monsoons. We got flooded out. We got evacuated, and a bunch of other stuff happening. But then my battalion went home, and I said, "Great, I'm going home early." And they says, "Oh no, you got too much time to go in country. You have to stay here, and we'll assign you to a company." And my company was that B Company was reforming into a land clearing outfit, the 697th. And I says, "Okay, I'll go to 697th." And then my first sergeant came in and says, "Oh, read off 4 or 5 names and said, okay, you have to go to the 497th Port Construction." And it was in Cameron Bay. I'm saying, "Oh, great, this is good." And so we got to Cameron Bay, and the mail truck only brought us so far. And he says, "You have to go up this road, and your company will be up there." But there was a PX right where we stopped, and we all says, "Well, we haven't been to the PX in a long time because we were out in the field. We never got the chance to come back in." And so we went into the PX, and then in PX, the guy says, "Oh yeah, there's a enlisted man club up the hill." So we went up the hill, and so we never really came in and reported into the first sergeant that day. We actually was kind of went a little AWOL there, and so the next day we says, "Okay, we'll sign in that day." Well, we decided that it was such a good time that day. We went back up to the enlisted men's club, and on the following day, the first sergeant came in one door, and we came in, and the platoon sergeant came in the other door, and so we were trapped, and
Got in a little trouble.
I got in a little trouble. But the only thing they could do is, when are you going to send us to Vietnam? So,
You were already there.
we were already there. So that was the starting of my place in the 497th Port Construction. And then they assigned me to a barge, a construction barge. And that construction barge went all over Vietnam. We went up to Quy Nhon. We was down in the rivers and around Saigon, and Da Nang, not Da Nang, but Ton Son Nhut and other places. We had divers that went in, and they checked the fuel lines, and we built piers and jetties and stuff like that. We built the Cogito Ammo Pier down in near Long Bend. We worked on a lot of bridges, fortifying bridges along up and down the rivers. And then I went home. I was there for 26 months.
Wow.
My first tour was up, and I went home for a 30-day leave. And I came back for 6 months, and then I went home again, and then came back and for my last 6 months, and I got a 5-month early out. So I said, so that's my.
Well, thank you for that. Wow.
Thank you. Wow. What a appreciate your service. Thank you so much, and thanks for sharing your story. All right, my friend Billy, You want to share a little bit about you and kind of your service?
Yes. So I joined I joined up in the Army when I was a senior in high school, almost ready for graduation. It was about, I want to say, November, December. And there was a plus to that as well. Even though I wasn't in the service, that all counted for time. And so that when it came for promotions, that 6 months that I had an extra 6 months. So I got my stripes earlier than a lot of the other guys. So that was good. Myself and a friend, we were going to join together. And just before it was time, we were going to graduate from high school, he dropped a car engine on his hand. So he couldn't go in. So I went in by myself, but to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And it was funny because down there I met a number of guys that had dropped out of school who I knew. And it kind of was, well, I guess you could say basic training wasn't the most amount of fun, but it kind of helped you to be able to understand how to make decisions when there's anxiety, there's tension, there's conflict, there's everything going on, which is really what basic training is all about, is to help you be able to understand how to still function when rockets and mortars are coming in and things like that. So I had signed up for what they call cab equipment repair, because every company needs to be able to maintain their parts, their personnel. It's a major function. In order to make a war function properly, you have to be able to get parts. Like if a helicopter breaks, you have to be able to get helicopter parts. You have to be able to get a helicopter engine, etc. And matter of fact, when I first arrived I went to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey for training. And that was, I want to say I don't remember, it was quite a few months. It was about 9 months of training. And it was on card equipment and so forth. And so when I got over to Vietnam, I went to Ben Hoa, and then just like Al, I transferred to Long Ben, where I had the great opportunity to fill sandbags for about, I want to say, 2 weeks before they figured out where they were going to send me, which I wasn't too thrilled with that. But finally, I got sent to a place called Cu Chi, where it was the 20th Transportation Company, which they were aircraft direct support. We supported helicopters, box planes. You've heard of Puff, the Dragon that fired all the miniguns and rockets, and so we maintained all of the parts for those vehicles within the facility. We used to get rocketed and mortared. When I first got there, I arrived in July 1st of 1968, which was just right after the major Tet offense. But we were still being rocketed and mortared, at least every other night. And after a while, what they made you do was when a rocket or mortar came in, you had to run to a bunker. Get your rifle, get your gear on, and run to a bunker. And after a while, you get kind of tired of that. So I would lay in bed listening to the rockets and mortars going off, saying to myself, well, my time comes, my time comes. They had sent me to a place that had a different set of equipment than I was trained on. So while I was there replacing the individual, I went down to Saigon for almost a month to learn the new equipment so that I could maintain it after he left, which was interesting. It was, I guess you could say it was, the one thing about Vietnam is when I got off the plane, it was the smell. There was the heat and there was the smell. The smell was like fish. You could smell like rotten fish. And but it goes away. You get used to the smell real quickly, and it's like you don't know that it's there anymore. And so I was there for 2 years. The second year I was 6 months in Saigon, and then they moved that group, which was the 526 Flight Maintenance, to Xi'an, which is where Bob Lee was as well. And it was kind of it was disappointing actually, because Saigon was a lot nicer. There you had a pass, you could go down to the bars, you could do things like that. Where Coochie, you had the NCO club, that was about it, and in Zion basically the same thing. So it wasn't as much fun, I guess you could say. And it's, I know you're saying, well, why is he describing it as fun? Well, I tell you, when Rocket and Motors are coming in, you go down for a beer, and that's fun. But anyway, so it was interesting. I would have to say that I saw a lot of, in February of 1969, the Viet Cong decided to do a major attack on Cu Chi again. And because of government, we were not allowed to fire on the bunker line. We had to call in to get permission to. So the guys were falling asleep on the bunker line. While the Viet Cong, when they came in, they cut 9 guys' throats. They got down the flight line and they blew up 16 Chinooks. And then they made it back out. And at that time, all of the gunships are up in the air. And whatever reason, they decided to launch a ground attack towards us. And with all those gunships up there, it was just not quite the, it wasn't to their advantage, let's put it that way. After that, I came back and it was disappointing in the sense of I was told, don't mention to anybody that you're in Vietnam. Don't put it on your resume that you're in Vietnam. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't tell anybody that you were there. And I was kind of, well, no, I'm not going to do that. So the first place I went to work for, at least the guys were quite reasonable, and I had it on there, and they thought it was great. But still, you would walk the streets. Some guys that I used to know when I was over there, I ran into them, and I tried to talk to them, because we were there. And nope, they didn't want to talk. And they just run off because they were afraid of what the people would think. But anyway, would I do it again? Yes, because it was the right thing to do. It was for my country. It was for something that the country believed in at that time. Tell them to do some push-ups too. It was it was something to believe in. I always was taught that it was my country, right or wrong. And what was really funny was after I got back, it was you're supposed to know, if you don't like what it is you're doing, you're supposed to tell your commanding officer. Well, I'll tell you what, the military does not function by you turning down what you're told to do.
Right.
It was quite the experience, and actually gave me a good career, because that was one of the few places, you can go to Vietnam, you would actually work on the equipment because civilians didn't want to come over. So I learned how to work on mini computers and card punches, and that was basically my career after I came back.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, can I interrupt for one moment? I just wanted to ask, how old were you?
I was 18.
Wow.
And Al, how old were you?
I was just turned 21 when I went to Vietnam.
Yeah, wow.
Babies. Wow.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you for sharing, Billy, and thank you so much for your service. I did actually, when you said the word fun, I was like, how is that fun? So, I appreciate you sharing about the beer. That could be fun too.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of like it's when you're going through all of that stuff during the day, a beer at night, just BSing with your buddies it turns out to be, that's fun.
We only had 2 beers a night because we were out in the field. That they gave us 2 beers, and when the funniest time is when you was in the bunkers and somebody make a stupid remark and you would be laughing half the night because you were so tense. It was it was a relief to it was a relief mechanism.
Yeah.
Well, the other one thing about over there is the bugs are gigantic. Right.
No.
Praying mantises. I saw praying mantises that were about, I give them a good 6 inches.
How about spiders?
So I used to, because computers don't break all the time. I used to volunteer to be a shotgun on the convoys. And I had an M79 grenade launcher that I used to take with me. And I used to ride on the back on the crates as we were coming. And then one day I looked up and I saw these huge spiders. And while the truck was moving, I climbed down the crates and into the side seat, because there was no way I was going to stand up there with those babies.
Oh gosh.
And we had rats that were huge, and
Oh.
snakes, and it was
Step in the house.
yeah.
Did I ask you how warm it was? Was it was it muggy? It must muggy and hot.
All the time.
Well,
It was even muggy during the monsoon season, because it was rain pouring, but it was down to about, let's say, 79 degrees, and it felt freezing.
Oh, yeah. Now, Cameron Bay was a 17-mile peninsula. At the base, it was probably 5 miles. At the end of it, where we were, was desert. It was all sand. It used to get to about 130 degrees, 125 to 130 degrees during the day. But it wasn't as humid as when you went down south.
Oh, no, we had humidity all the time. The lucky part, computers require air conditioning. So I was also in air conditioning during the day.
And he's complaining. Air conditioning intense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, my friend Bob. So for those of you that don't know, our friend Bob Lee, he's a YouTube rock star. I'm going to share his link in the chat. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I wanted to share his he has a video that has over 3,000 views on it, which is awesome. So I'm going to drop your link, Bob, and I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. Anyway, I'll start out with, that was only supposed to be a 2-minute video that you're talking about. And it turned out they gave me the go to keep talking in the background. So 45 minutes later, just in case you don't want to watch it and find out the end result, it's 45 minutes long. So I'll try not to do that today.
Preparing people to skip to the end.
I found it very important in my life that I'm able to talk about Vietnam now. I had an issue when I got home. I no longer have the issue. I gave my PTSD to my wife, so I don't have it anymore. It's supposed to be a joke.
I laughed.
Okay.
You can't hear all the other guys laughing
Yeah.
in the background.
Anyway, when I had very similar as the two gentlemen sitting next to me, feelings about Vietnam. I got drafted in the end of '67, and I was told by the recruiter that if I wanted to maybe go to a different place other than Vietnam, find me a buddy that got a draft notice and come back and see him. And he was giving me 1 week to do that. So I went asking around different guys, hey, you want to sign up? We got to do 3 years instead of 2. But we can go to Germany, because my buddy, the recruiter, was telling me that's where the girls are, in the tanks. And once he said tanks, we thought, we're only 18, 19 years old, and we were thinking, wouldn't it be better to be on a big tank than to walk around in the jungle? So that's how I ended up signing up with a buddy and going to armor school training, not realizing at that age that wasn't necessarily the way I wanted to go, but I signed up on the dotted line. And before I knew it, and after boot camp, I found myself in Fort Carson, Colorado, training with the 5th Mechanized, and that included a lot of tanks and armored personnel vehicles. And all of a sudden I realized, I don't know what when are we going to Germany? When are we going to Germany? And all of a sudden one day the orders came down after all the training, and the guys that stepped forward, and I was one of them, you guys are going to Vietnam. That's when I said, time out. I signed up for Germany. They said, too late, get back in line, here's your orders. So anyway, I'll cut to the chase here. I ended up in Vietnam at a place called the 90th Replacement, where I got my new nickname, because my name is Bob Lee. So some guy that was looking for a General Robert E. Lee asked me to put my hand up, and I looked around and said, I don't know who he's talking about. My name's not Robert E. Lee, it's Robert R. Lee. But then he goes, "You, General, come. You're with me. You're with the Cav. You're going to be assigned to the tank company, and you have the background in it. And we're looking forward to introducing you to the guys. And we need you." Well, before I knew it, here I was with a STRAC unit of individuals. The 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment is very well known throughout Vietnam as nobody messed with. And the guys that were attached to, we were one big family. And we found that, in strength, there wasn't anybody going to stop us to do what we had to do to fight for our country. And that's where it all started. I ended up being first a driver on a tank, a Patton tank, an M48A3 tank, 52 tons, loaded with ammunition, 90 millimeters. And when you're a little kid from Old Town, Maine, and all of a sudden you're riding around busting jungle on tanks and getting shot at and shooting back, the time starts going pretty good during the, you're like counting the days, but even still you're experiencing a place that you couldn't imagine before that. And now it's like you're proud to be part of that team that could be the backup force to save some of these infantry guys and make new trails. And anyway, the camaraderie was great. There was 17 tanks in my company, and there was actually 3 companies of tanks within the regiment. So just to give you an idea of how big and powerful we were. And at any one time, our commander could say, "I need the 1st squadron over here and 2nd squadron over there and 3rd squadron to be a backup for those 2 squadrons." A year of riding around, breaking jungle and learning and supporting highway. Everybody had a job in Vietnam, and ours was to support convoys, to back them up in case they got ambushed, to find the enemy and eliminate them, whether that was in the jungle or in the rice paddies or wherever we could go with these tanks. And before I knew it, the year was winding down, and we got ourselves in a couple of different situations that was made it kind of a big experience anyway. I found myself being shot at a little more than I liked, but so did everybody in our group. We were, can I use the word, an ass-kicking unit. They put us where they needed us. And I served under George S. Patton III for a short time, and then many other incredible commanders. I admired all of the guys that I served with. I had a company commander that made sure that I was awarded a Silver Star, which made me to this day proud. Excuse me, I've got to get a drink of water in a second. But anyway, it turned out to be my company commander said, "Okay, Lee, I need you to get out of town for a week, take an R&R." I didn't know quite how I wanted to do that, but I jumped on a helicopter and flew it into a location where guys were going all different directions to go on R&R. And a young Marine came up to me and said, "Hey, you want to go with me? The girls are supposed to be nice in Sydney, Australia." So I said, "Yeah, let's go." So we went to Sydney, and before I knew it, that week was up. Met a gal there, found her very interesting, and I promised her I was coming back. Now, I don't know why I did that at age 20, but because Sydney is the other side of the world from Vietnam, and I didn't know what was next in the cards. But before I knew it, I was a short timer at the end of my first tour in Vietnam, and I found myself bringing mail out to the helicopters and to the guys that I had left behind in the field, and leaving little messages, But anyway, one of the helicopter pilots called me over to his while the helicopter's running. "What are you doing today besides delivering mail?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a short timer. I'm going home in a couple of weeks." And he said, "Would you do us a big favor?" see those two machine guns on the side of the chopper there? Somebody needs to sit behind those. I want to ask you, will you come with us? Didn't take but a second. I said, let's go. Before I knew it, I was volunteering for something I wasn't sure of. But I've always wanted to fly in the choppers anyway, instead of getting on the ground where all the heat and the muds and the bugs and the snakes and everything else was. But I found it very interesting. One day we'd be flying wounded guys. The next day we'd be getting shot at and shooting back. The next day, believe it or not, I'm skipping fast forward, but I was very fortunate that our helicopter got picked to fly 6 young ladies around. They were called Miss America, 1970.
Oh.
I have all the pictures and the memories. And naturally, I didn't want them to get their white sneakers dirty, so I had to pick them up and put them in the helicopter.
What a great excuse.
Put their seatbelts on and sneak a kiss or two, you know. And I figured, what are they going to do to me for kissing these gals? I mean, send me back to the
So valiant.
yeah.
There you go.
But what they did was, to make a short story about that, it was a very organized move. I'm sure you've heard of Bob Hope shows and
Yeah.
different shows that came to Vietnam. Well, this Miss America tour was fabulous. And I, myself, crew chief, and 2 pilots were responsible for getting these 6 ladies to 3 different locations, then waiting for them and watching them twirl the baton and see all the soldiers sitting there, you know, what were 21-year-old guys looking at these girls spinning a baton. You know what I mean? I hope. But it was an adventurous day, to say the least. That was the best part of Vietnam for me. That and getting some of the wounded guys into the field, it was a gratification of knowing that they needed us. Next thing you know, I volunteered to go back to the Vietnam after that first tour, and I finished off in the helicopters. I did 21 months of Vietnam service.
Wow.
And got out of the Army early. Came home, did like the other guys, don't talk about Vietnam. You know, the old story, you guys must have killed some babies over there and all that crap. And you kind of learn to turn your head and not talk about it. And you also learn to like kind of hold a lot inside. And I think that was probably the worst part of coming home, was everybody was trying to make believe we weren't where we were and what we did. But I think in my heart, I know that we had to do it, even though some people tell you it was a waste of time, but it'll never be a waste of time to me. We lost a lot of guys, and a lot of us are pretty proud. I want to show you my shirt.
I love it. Love it.
Anyway, I'm getting a little choked up, so I think you got a general feeling.
Thank
I'm
you.
very fortunate that I getting the Silver Star and the Purple Heart and the Bronze Stars and the Air Medals and all that stuff. If you put them all together, it just means I was glad to serve. And it doesn't matter how many you got. It's not about that. It's about all of the guys that raised their hand. To this day, I like my journey in life now is to find other guys that will talk about being together like we were back then. And we can come and share food here at Clear Path. We can, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little weird here, but
Thank you.
camaraderie is what it's all about. I was very fortunate, I want to tell you quickly, that in 1982, I was a field computer engineer for a big computer company called Digital Equipment. And I had an assignment in Virginia, right across from Washington, D.C., where I set up computer systems for our corporation. We were doing a show there, and we heard a rumor about something going on across the Potomac there in Washington. And it turned out to be the opening day for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. In 1982, on that opening day, I was there in that crowd. And I'll never forget that. And I wish everybody could get a chance to see the video if they haven't seen it. It's called To Heal a Nation. And it's based on a true story. You might not like some of it, but if you hang in there with it, I think you'll find it rewarding. I know all the vets that I know that I've been able to make copies of and show them that video. They come for lunch now. We all talk. We get together for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It doesn't matter, because we all know that we raised our hand one day in support of our country. So, moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, so much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I know that it's not always easy to share your story. My step dad is a Vietnam vet, and he sometimes, he has a hard time. I wish that he was closer to Clear Path, because I know that it would serve him well. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for your service and sharing your story. And I would love to just talk about the wall that heals, and maybe Donna, you could lead into telling a little bit about it, and then maybe you gentlemen can kind of quickly share if you've seen the wall and kind of what it means to you that it's coming to right down the street from Clear Path. So
Right,
Donna,
so-
let's start.
Yeah, so this year, we are the only location in Massachusetts that will be hosting the traveling wall. They call it the mobile wall that heals. And it comes with an education center. It will be set up very tastefully and in a nice spot where people can go and pay tribute, learn about the Vietnam War, and learn about the story behind the wall, and really an opportunity for the community to come out and pay tribute to, men like these men here and women that served during that era, and just to reflect on that. So the wall will be here from July 25th to July 28th, open to the public 24 hours. So people can choose the time that they want to come to visit that. They can, during the day it might be busy and maybe you want to visit it, but you don't want to visit when it's busy. You can come later in the evening, and it's lit up beautifully, and it will be manned with volunteers. So there'll always be somebody there to be an ambassador and help guide people through that.
Awesome. So gentlemen, have you had the opportunity to see the wall that heals, or just why don't you just kind of quickly share, like, this is a very exciting, proud event coming to Devens. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, I can only tell you, it really does heal. And it means so much for most of the guys. I think, speaking for the guys that I know, they didn't know what to expect, even though you hear about it, until you go to it and you see it and you understand it so much better. It stands right out and it says, you know what, we won't forget those guys. And it just means an incredible amount. I want to say a little bit about Clear Path too. Clear Path has been a place for us guys to bond again later on. And here we are 55 years ago from our time in Vietnam. I was there in 1969, right on through to January 71. And when I look back now, all the things going on in our country, just being able to come to a place like Clear Path for us to communicate with each other, have meals with each other, and then follow on after that. We have breakout groups, and we all need it. And this place has been phenomenal. Wrong word, but been great for all of us. And I just want to make sure to say that Donna and her crew are just, it's a great place. All vets should come here and experience what we experience here.
But we also hear stories from other services and other wars, World War II, Korea, and the later wars in Afghanistan and in the Middle East. And it's interesting. It's, because we all see it, no matter what war you were in, we all share the same.
Yes.
We all share the same. It's, we lost people, and, it's just nice to know that, there's somebody to come back to talk to.
Awesome. So that kind of leads into, do you want to share? So you gentlemen go to the canteen lunch on Thursdays?
Every Thursday, yeah. There's two different settings here for meals, and
Do you go to both?
Every Thursday, but a lot of us are doing the VA shuffle, we call it. You know, if you have an appointment at the VA for a doctor or whatever, then you might miss a meal. But the food is great. The people are fabulous. I recommend everybody try to come here. I don't know if we're going to overwhelm them with that speech, but anyway, it's a great place.
When we first came here, there was only one sit,
Yes.
and that was something. Yeah, I guess you could say we got used to because we ate and we sat. You know, we talked, and with the two sittings, if you come for the early sitting, you get to eat. I mean, I got here early, and you know the guys are showing up early even now to the point where it's hard to park when you get here. But and then 11 o'clock they start serving everything, you know, with salad and soup and a meal. They have an excellent chef. Yeah, I think she had an issue a little while ago where she had a heart attack or something. But she was definitely, the food was great. And the service too. I mean, you know, they serve it up to you. You don't have to go up and get it. And it's really, you know, quite the place to be. You can continue to talk to all of your friends and make jokes. And
well, it's much more than just the food too. It's, you know, they train dogs here. It's just a great location to get together and chat and be with each other. We even break off and have breakfast groups and lunch groups in other parts of the area, not just Clear Path. But as we're getting older, it all started here. You know, like coming here and meeting guys, we started moving because, you know, only get so many people under the roof at one time.
And April, we love having them here, and we do fun little field trips once in a while, like when we went to the Heritage Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really great.
So, quick story on that. Quick one.
Yeah.
When I approached management here, Donner and company, I told them, I said, you know, here we are 75 years old and older, and they're telling us we're not old enough to get the World War II no cost, Korean no cost. I said, how much older do we have to be before we can get in for free to see the tanks that we fought on and all that stuff? And the guy said, well, I might be able to get a special price for you. That's when I took it upon myself to approach Donner and company and say, hey, is there anything you guys can do to get us a cheaper rate and we can go? Well, she really did that all right. We all got in for free. And the guys were talking about it for days. Wow, it was only, you know, I won't use the price, but nobody would go there on their own unless they were with all of us together as a unit. There was 55 of us, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
We had a fabulous day, and it was right after they opened the memorial for the POW and the MIA. And for anybody out there that hasn't been to the Collins Foundation in Hudson, Stowe, Mass, it is fabulous. You don't have to be a warlord or any of that to appreciate the amount of equipment and time and people that are putting that on. It's a multi-billion-dollar establishment there, you know, with 90, I think the last I heard was 91 different takes from every war in there.
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. They have battles in the summertime, and you know, there's so much to say about it. Look it up. Call the Collins Foundation, Stowe, Mass. And
Awesome.
What's the other name that they use for it?
The Heritage.
Heritage Museum, Stowe, Mass.
Donna is pretty amazing, and her and Scott, I've had the honor to be working with Clear Path since its inception. So it's been amazing to watch it grow and all the veterans that have come through, and then the amazing team members and volunteers. It's just an amazing organization. So, gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for all of your sharing. Friends, we have the Wall That Heals that's coming July 25th through the 28th. And as part of that, there is some costs that are incurred as part of getting the wall to come to Devens. So we actually have two ways if you'd like to get involved. There's actually three. Financially, though, we are trying to raise money to defray the cost. So we actually have a page where you can go and make a general donation, or you are welcome to join our 50-50 raffle, which is a win-win for not only ClearPath helping to pay for the wall, but also for you, because you have an opportunity to win half our jackpot. Tickets start as low as $20. And as part of that, we have about 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left to get your 50-50 tickets. You need to be in a Massachusetts location. I'm going to drop the link here in a second. But there's also an opportunity to win Patriots, Celtics, or Bruins tickets as well. Another way you can get involved is we are looking for volunteers to make this event happen. It's a 24/7 event. So we could always use a helping hand. Even if you have an hour to give, we greatly appreciate that. And then last but certainly not least, sharing is caring. Whatever you can do to share. If you are watching on our page, if you're watching on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, if you share this live stream, any of our posts for the 50-50 or the wall that heals, we greatly appreciate that, because that helps us to reach so many more, not only about the wall that heals, but ClearPath for Veterans and all the service that we offer to veterans and their families. So every little bit helps, friends. So whatever you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated. Donna, do you want to add to that?
Sure. We're always so grateful to have the opportunities that we have, just because we're in an area where people really do appreciate the military. And the ability to host the traveling wall gives us an opportunity to share our message, not only pay tribute, but also to share our message and bring more of our Vietnam veterans, introduce them to Canteen. And as these gentlemen said, maybe we'll need a third setting. But that would be, to me, a great thing if we have so many people that we have to add another sit-in. And the more veterans that are in the building, the more I feel the building is alive. And I just love it. So I just have been honored to sit here with these gentlemen tonight, and can't wait to be able to actually host the wall and go down and visit it right down the street.
Awesome.
Good turnout.
So friends, I did put the link to the 50-50. I also put the link to our Wall That Heals page. Actually, if you go to the Wall That Heals page, it has all of those great information, as well as the opportunities to volunteer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and sharing tonight. We greatly appreciate it. As we wrap up here, do you have any some short, inspiring messages to future generations so they can understand more about your commitment to service and the Vietnam War and other veterans? Anybody else? Would anyone like to share?
Well, it's a demonstration of trying to keep a strong America. I mean, we have to support ourselves. We have to fight for ourselves. We have to make sure that we exist in a free country. And it's something that demonstrates that throughout history, the Americans have given their lives to protect that freedom.
Yeah, true, Bill.
Well said.
Oh, well said. Well said. All right, my friends. Again, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Donna, for your time. Thanks, John, behind the scenes there. My friends, please, sharing is caring. Whatever you can do to help us, we greatly appreciate it. And we will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, same time, same place, with another live. And we're going to be talking more about the Wall That Heals and have some additional special guests for you. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great evening. It was so wonderful to meet you and hear your story. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.